Life, in its essence, is designed to challenge us, to push us to grow through pain and suffering. It is inevitable that we will be confronted with our deepest fears and insecurities. Whatever you are most afraid of, life tends to serve you. These moments of reckoning test our resilience and determine our growth. The crucial question is whether we will be prepared when these challenges arise. Those who have invested in discipline and effort are better equipped to face these trials. The habits of perseverance and strategic thinking enable them to navigate crises with confidence and resolve. In contrast, those who have chosen idleness are often overwhelmed by these challenges, lacking the necessary skills and mindset to overcome them. They will seek solace in vices of all kinds, destructive and compulsive behaviors that will lead them down the spiral. After all, it's much easier to try to run away from life, to hide, than to meet it head-on, grab it by the horns, and develop the stamina required to ride it. It is much easier to try to escape the reality of your existence than to develop the courage to try to shape it to your liking. So, suffering or regret, the choice is ours. Ultimately, life presents us with a stark choice. We can either pay the price of suffering through disciplined effort or endure the constant regret of a life unfulfilled. There is no third path. Suffering in the pursuit of goals is temporary and leads to growth, achievement, and life lived to the fullest of your potential. Regret, however, is a lifelong burden that stems from the failure to act and the squandering of potential. The choice is ours to make, and the consequences of that choice will define the quality and trajectory of our lives. So, my folks, nothing in life comes for free. Nothing that is worth it comes easy. And the sooner we learn it, the better. Everything we want to achieve has a price tag on it, and each of us must pay it in an extremely competitive environment. Everything we want, someone else wants, and the law of the jungle is that we will have to compete with others to get it. We will have to be stronger, faster, braver, more experienced, more prepared, more cunning, more adaptive, more creative, more disciplined, more persistent, because no one will simply pass his comfortable seat on us without a fight. Life is a cruel race, a merciless competition. Therefore, whoever is not ready to deal with his own life and defend his personal happiness by all means against all those who want to prevent him, does not have the slightest chance of getting satisfaction from this same life. Whatever is said about the need to adapt to others, it should not close our eyes to the fact that we are the only ones responsible for ourselves. It may be that for a while we are content to put our ideas, potential, and our ambitions into purposes which others have determined to be important. However, when we have nothing more to give, when they no longer need us, no one will care about us. Therefore, it is the right of every individual to realize his own desires and goals and his true needs and joys and to fulfill them daily, so that he never has to say, "I lived, but it was not my life." No one is interested in turning you into independent, successful, and fulfilled person. So those of you who don't have a clear vision about how their life should look like and where do they go, should not be surprised when become victims of others who want to use him for their own advantage. And that is exactly what everyone around us intends. That's why it shouldn't surprise you when some of the tips and pointers I'm about to offer are met by most people with resistance. However, together we will see how each of us can turn the obstacles in our way into advantages. Because whoever lives to be loved by everyone, to get the approval of everyone, will remain disappointed. Never worry about losing some people on your way up. Worry about losing yourself while trying to please everyone. If you are this type of a person, This is not a video lesson for you and is unlikely to help you in any way unless you change your mind while listening to it and realize the need to defend your self-interest in fistfights. Life is a bloody competition, and you better prepare daily for when the moment to fight comes. Because no one will hand the victory to you. No one but you is interested in putting you in the position you want to be in life. My appeal to you is not so much to base yourself on any theoretical or scientific knowledge, but rather on the result of the experience that each of us, whatever it may be, has gathered in our lives so far. However, the disadvantage of many people is that they do not use not even their own experience, however painful it might have been, for their further path. So my appeal to you is, take from this video what is for you and what you think can be useful and applied in the context of your life. Don't take everything uncritically just because someone else sees it right. You have to adapt it to yourself and put it into practice. Do it now, not sometime in the foreseeable future, not someday, and if possible, do it immediately. Start as late as tomorrow. This instruction is important because nothing, absolutely nothing could change in our lives if we do not put our experience into practice without any delay. The disadvantage of many good scientific theories is that they are discussed, questioned, and contested for so long until they finally lose all practical value. And if this video has any value, let it be to push you to action, to change, and not just to enrich your knowledge with a few more wise tips and make you feel like it is a substitute for action. Among the constant requirements addressed to us are also those detailed recipes for our proper incorporation and integration into the community. They all expect us to surrender some of our individuality and let others obsess us. Like those around us haven't obsessed us more than enough long time ago. Protect your identity from foreign invasions when they are not profitable for you. Free yourself from any toxic people and addictions that hinder your full self-realization. Ignore the noise from others who constantly try to impose their desires, way of thinking, acting, beliefs, delusions, and limitations on you. They will constantly try to convince us of what they themselves consider to be right. Whoever realizes that the time has come to abandon other people's evaluation criteria and create his own, takes a decisive step forward in his life. He who once begins to engage intensely with himself, his own development, his own life, personal growth and dreams, will find that it gives him joy and satisfaction like nothing else. His self-esteem and confidence will grow. The opinion of others will lose its decisive importance. So don't renounce to your personality and your uniqueness just to fit it. But I would like to tackle the issue about being yourself and standing out. The same thing is going to happen to you that happens to the animals in the herd when they stand out too much. Be very careful with shining, standing out, and being yourself. Lions, when they are hunting, usually choose the small and sick zebra. And not because they prefer a sick one, obviously. They would prefer a juicy and deliciously healthy zebra. But they hunt whoever they distinguish amongst the herd. If you are a different zebra, the lions are coming for you. Here are 4 facts about human nature you should never forget. 1. Life is a crab tank. Since we are good people, we like others to do well, but not too well. No better than us, anyway. So don't stand out too much in a new group where you are not yet accepted. Once you are in, they would be much more susceptible to each new thing you might bring in or suggest, but not in the beginning. 2. The protruding nail is hammered. You are very good at work, and all your colleagues in the office admire you. Then your boss gets jealous and fires you. Be careful with overshadowing a superior. 3. Don't share your achievements and your goals. Life is like a board game. If someone starts to take too much advantage, the other players start to perceive him as a threat and join together to defeat him. 4. Be discreet when you stray from the herd. I'm not telling you not to be different. The most successful people are. What I'm telling you is to be discreet, so that the lions don't come after you. Focus on your habits, work, advance, and win in silence. I want to encourage you, whatever changes you feel you need to be made in your life in regards to your current partner, profession, with some useless friendships, make them as soon as you feel it is right. And don't ask yourself 1,000 times whether others would approve. If you achieve this attitude, then this video will be useful for you. It should convince and tempt you to determine your own life and live it according to your capabilities. Nothing more, nothing less. So, here we go. Let me first mention some simple truths that, however, prove to be great challenges for most people. He who has his own strategy and his own criteria for his life and behavior doesn't rely on anyone. He can face the day and its problems without fear or false hope. Anyone who lives with the expectation that things will somehow sort themselves out will inevitably live in panic. He will forever be afraid that he will not be able to cope with some sudden problem. He will seek solace in self-delusions. Let's hope nothing bad happens to me. Or, I'll be okay somehow. Or, someone's always going to get me out of this mess. Of course, everything we do is a constant compromise between our desires and reality. But it is only up to us to make the best of these compromises. Therefore, it is necessary to know the scruples that hold us back. Scruples such as fidelity, honesty, solidarity, the sense of responsibility towards others. The notion of the kind, good, forgiving person is deeply rooted in us. It makes us flexible and malleable even when it is to our detriment. Of course, society generously encourages kindness. Everyone hopes that others will have it and cultivate it, in the hope that he himself may one day benefit from it. In this way, unfavorable compromises divert us from the set goal. The only consolation left to us in the end is the vague satisfaction of being a nice person. But the recognition of others does not last forever. The next time they need us, they will expect us to be just as amenable to their pressure to perform to their expectations. Thus, we find ourselves increasingly dependent on our weakness, which is exploited by others. It turns out that we are more concerned with their problems and concerns than with our own. In this way, we easily lose control of our lives. In the heads of most people, the idea is ingrained that nothing is more important to them than adapting to the world around them. Among the constant requirements addressed to us are also those detailed recipes for our proper incorporation and integration into the community. They all expect us to surrender some of our individuality and let others take over us. For many people, only in society does their life seem complete. There they find the recognition and security they crave for. However, each member of society has only one goal: to get as much as possible for himself, to achieve as many benefits for himself as he can from his existence with others. As much happiness, resources, contentment, and fulfillment as possible. It should not surprise you that in this pursuit of yours, you will constantly find yourself in conflict with others, as an attacker that others try to use to their advantage, as a protector when others want to get something from you for their own benefit. In the natural game of coexisting in society, in which everyone wants and tries to win as much as possible for themselves, those who do not manage to impose themselves fall down the wagon. Usually this is due to the belief in a non-existent world, fueled by the mottos we are instilled with from the earliest act. Phrases like, "Don't think about yourself," "Be considerate of others," "We're all in the same boat," or "Only if you help others, they will help you," "One for all for one." Always be helpful to others and expect them to be grateful. The world in which the community is everything and the individual is nothing is an invention of people who want to use others for their own interests. Instead of reward, they promise peace and togetherness, security and happiness, and everything else we dream of. But have any of these nice promises come true? Look around and you'll see what's left of them. We must soberly admit to ourselves, he who mostly considers others, putting himself on a second plan, ends up being used and thrown away after that. Being nice is often seen as weakness, not as a virtue. It's considered like an invitation for others to continue to exploit us. And another great truth, no one would help us if they did not find in it some personal benefit, even if it's only to calm their guilty conscience. The conclusion is self-evident. The benefit that a society derives from the sacrifices of individuals is nothing but the benefit that a few derive from society. Two possibilities define our coexistence with other people. Either we put the interests of the community above our own interests and make sacrifices that primarily benefit others, or we can also put our own interests first in order to live the life we want to live. Let us trace together the consequences of these two possibilities. Option 1. To live the life we want to live. Above all, this means relying only or primarily on ourselves and not on anyone else. No one knows our true and desires and needs better than we do, and no one is more interested in their fulfillment. This further means dealing primarily with what we like rather than what others would like. In seeking to fulfill it, it is necessary to mobilize the best in ourselves for our own good, not for that of others. It is completely normal that in this way we will expose ourselves to the attacks of those around us who want to use us to their advantage. They expect us to follow their criteria for things instead of acting on our own ideas. Your family, for example, wants you to be the caring parent who is deterred by nothing and always ready to make any sacrifice needed for the good of his beloved creatures. Your boss insists that you follow his instructions, even when it costs you more work, stress, and worries. Your company expects you to take the position it offers you, even though it comes with commitments that you are not satisfied with. The market, in turn, expects you to choose its latest products, which will bring you more prestige, but for which you will have to pay more. To fend off these attacks, defending the life we want to live, we must develop within ourselves the ability to assert ourselves decisively among those around us. The other possible option is to live the life that pleases others. It would be completely wrong to say that such a life is not worth living. The fact is that it suits most people perfectly. They find enough security by adjusting to the community and its rules, doing what is required of them, thinking what society expects them to think, acting how society dictates them to act, speaking the things they are expected to. Naturally, this is a security that will be taken from them as soon as they fall out of their assigned role. Otherwise, it is only a matter of time before they get used to adapting their own ideas about life to the demands of others. What they get in return satisfies their requirements. Here are some of the most commonly used compensations: admiration for the diligence and success that could come from hard work, even when you don't really need that admiration at all. Another of the compensations that society offers us in exchange for our personal freedom is a comfortable life within the limits that others set. The third compensation we are given for the right to decide for ourselves is praise, an appreciative and encouraging pat on the back for the sacrifices we make for the sake of others. These sacrifices are the price of a life that pleases others. They primarily consist in the fact that most of our best wishes and dreams, secret longings and needs, remain unfulfilled because we had to comply with someone else's opinion. Of course, everyone is free to choose one of the options offered here. After all, he will suffer the consequences. One thing is certain, life is given to us only once, and there will always be a minority of people who strive to make their allotted days something more than what others have left them. However, many fail in their efforts because they cannot recognize the real obstacles that stand in their way. On the one hand, these are the obstacles that the surrounding world creates for us. However, then there are also those that we have allowed to build up in ourselves over time. And trust me, external obstacles are nothing compared to the barriers and limitations we create for ourselves. These are our theories of conformity, obedience, and submission to which we willingly enslave ourselves. These are the established norms of behavior, moral cliches, and the constant fear of not risking the achieved prestige, security, and recognition of others. Among the things preventing us from reaching our goals is the widespread idea of responsibility. He who can convince others that he is able to bear responsibility enjoys special respect. Of course, it is necessary that this responsibility is linked to some results. The coach of a football team, for example, can act as responsibly as he wants, but if his team loses, he is exposed to the danger of being replaced by another. This compulsion to appear successful in front of others, to be successful, entails a number of very strange ways of behaving, which at first we use to deceive others and gain prestige in front of them, and in time we end up using to deceive ourselves. There are many people who occupy positions of responsibility, although they are not at all capable of them. However, they have mastered the skill of flexibly using the concept of responsibility. They manage to transfer it to others when something has failed, and skillfully take credit for successes to which they hardly contributed anything. Sometimes one actually gets the impression that the concept of responsibility was invented only to be redirected when necessary, either to transfer it to others or to decorate ourselves with it, all according to what is beneficial for us at the moment. He who knows how to convincingly transfer it to others in the event of failure is endowed with an ability that provides him with a certain authority. Those of you who properly understand the interrelationships of things will recognize that such a way of thinking and acting is nothing more than looking for an excuse. It is clear that by going down this path, no one could achieve their goals and achieve personal satisfaction. This person could also make a famous career, gain money, fame, or admiration. The price he pays for this, however, will be his constant fear that the next time the maneuver could be discovered. Not to mention it puts him in a position of permanent dependency. From one hand, dependence on the people at whose expense he gains his apparent success. On the other hand, dependence on others, whose recognition he needs. Whoever takes part in this game of deft shifting of responsibilities never finds rest. He will find no lasting security anywhere. Here are the simple rules of this game, which I will now reveal once and for all. First, someone makes some decision or carries out a certain plan, which may or may not succeed. In a favorable case, he will reap the ovations, and in an unfavorable case, he will have to be ready to take responsibility for his success in front of the others and prepare a basket full of convincing-sounding excuses and justifications. And here he is delegating a part of the responsibility to someone whom, in case of failure, he can use as a scapegoat. If necessary, then he will say, "I gave my best, but the other failed." He will say this to those from whom he expects to receive respect, admiration, or at least understanding. He will repeat it to himself until he finally believes it, because he fears nothing more than admitting defeat. This admission would tear down his whole fine edifice of security that he had painstakingly built for himself. It forces him to constantly look for a new excuse that could serve himself, yourself, and in front of others. Any success he achieves will depend on it. This refined game is played in all areas of life. We inevitably participate in it, as victims or as initiators. So what is the strategy that will free us from this merry-go-round of passing the ball, looking for excuses and uncertainty? It is quite simple. I take responsibility for everything I do. If I can't take it, I refuse the job in advance. In case of failure, I look for the reasons first in myself and then in others. If we judge from this point of view everything we decide and do, and follow a consistent strategy, we will find the following advantages. 1. We are transformed from victims of fate and circumstances into active creators of our lives and our destiny. 2. We can put all our energy and work into it instead of wasting it looking for a suitable excuse to justify our failures. 3. Every decision we make and its implementation is our problem alone. This compels and obliges us to identify with him completely and entirely. The more we delve into solving a task with this attitude, the greater the pleasure of work becomes. However, he who has already prepared an excuse in case of failure is only half absorbed and devoted to his work. He knows, if something goes wrong, I have an excuse, so why bother? 4. If a certain enterprise for which I have taken responsibility succeeds, I myself will know best that it was I who brought it about. I will not need to soften for the recognition of others. This will make me independent of praise and blame and give me security. 5. If the endeavor fails, I will know that, despite my efforts, I must have made a mistake. Instead of wasting my energy and shifting the responsibility, I can use it by looking for the reasons for this mistake within myself. That way, I'll get the most out of defeat. I will gain experience that will help me avoid the mistake made next time. Let us no longer allow ourselves to find ourselves in a situation where we try to shift responsibility for our own decisions and actions. Because what is usually done in such cases? In all probability, you will try to save yourself in one of the common excuse phrases that are available at any time and for any occasion. 1. The time we live in is to blame for everything. 2. Everything was better before. 3. Someday everything will change anyway. 4. Why I didn't marry a decent man, but this loser. 5. Nobody gives me a chance. 6. I was born in the wrong country, wrong family. 7. The government and the economy are to blame. 8. No one really understands me. 9. You can't rely on anyone anymore. 10. The whole society should change. 11. My children's bad environment is to blame for the fact that they no longer listen to me. But how exactly will all this help you? You'll just wallow in self-pity. Nothing more. Too poor a substitute for the freedom you would achieve by pursuing the strategy of taking responsibility for everything you do. You must take full responsibility for your life. Don't be a victim anymore. Too many people make excuses for why they can't get ahead. They blame the circumstances, their parents, their boss, the economy. But the truth is, you are in complete control of your destiny. You have the power to change anything about your life you aren't satisfied with. The majority of people are living far above their potential. They settle for much less than they are capable of achieving. When you were born, you were crying while the world rejoiced. Live your life in such a way that when you die, the world cries while you rejoice. Don't just embrace mediocrity like everyone else. Have the courage to dream big dreams. You had the same 24 hours in the day that was given to Abraham Lincoln, Albert Einstein, and every other highly successful person. It's not about the amount of time you have, it's about how you choose to spend it. Are you going to waste it on things that don't really matter? Or are you going to invest it wisely into activities that create lasting value? One of the most important choices that you could make is who you spend your time with. We all have heard that each of us is the combined average of the 5 people you associate the most with. If you hang around negative, unhappy, broke people, you will become just like them. But if you surround yourself with positive, successful people who share your vision, they will pull you up higher. Making just one change in your life can radically alter your entire trajectory. Personal development must be a top priority. You have to continually be expanding your knowledge and capabilities. Become a lifelong student. Read books that will feed your mind and increase your skill set. Attend seminars, get training, learn voraciously. Because when your mind expands with new ideas, your life could never remain the same. Formal education will make you a living, but self-education will make you a fortune. Idle time is your biggest enemy. What you do with your spare time is the greatest determining factor in your quality of life. Sure, you could veg out in front of the TV or scroll endlessly on your phone. But those trivial pursuits won't get you any closer to your biggest hopes and dreams. Every moment is an opportunity to improve your life through education, exercise, working toward a goal. Don't let all those precious minutes slip away. Every excuse you've ever made is a chain keeping you from the life you desire. The truth is harsh, yet liberating, because it puts all the power in your hands. You are the author of your own story, and every page written so far is a reflection of your belief system, your convictions, your filter through you perceive reality, and the choices you've made. The life you're living right now, whether it's filled with triumph or littered with regret, is your creation. It's the result of your decisions. So it's time to stop blaming others, the government, the society, your bad luck, to stop waiting for a savior, and to realize that the power to change everything lies within you. This is your wake-up call. Are you ready to break free from the self-imposed chains and take control of your destiny? Because it starts here, and it starts with you. It's time to drop the excuses and take full responsibility for your own failures and your destiny. You can't blame your fate if you haven't given your best. Remember, it's through acknowledging our mistakes and owning our choices that we truly grow, mature, and succeed. No more blaming others or external circumstances. Your future is in your hands. Embrace the power you have to change, to learn, and to rise above any setback. Thank you for watching, and if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, take charge and make every day count.